Atlanta 911, operator 7959. What's the address to your emergency?
Sir, I'm at the entrance of Piedmont Park. I just was searching for my girlfriend's purse because I couldn't find her. She just said she's here at Piedmont Park. Please help.
You said somebody's dead at Piedmont Park?
Yes, sir. Please send help. Please.
All right, yes, ma'am. I'm going to send help to you.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
All right, can I get your name? Get a callback number? All right. Where's she at in the park?
She's right near the entrance, like, I don't know how to explain it to you. Did you just see that? That's my fucking girlfriend. What the fuck?
On July 28, 2021, at about 1 a.m., Emma Clark was thrown into the most depressing event of her life. She discovered the lifeless body of her partner and her dog. Her partner, Katherine Janness, had been murdered, stabbed multiple times right inside Piedmont Park's Charles Allen Drive entrance.
Police say a woman stabbed to death walking her dog at 1 a.m. Her dog was also killed. Steve Harrigan's on the story in Atlanta. Steve, I know this park well. It's right there in Midtown Atlanta. What happened?
That's right, Bill. Piedmont Park, very popular with joggers and dog walkers. Right now, even Atlanta homicide detectives are calling this a particularly gruesome murder. Katherine Janness, 40 years old, was walking her dog after dinner. She's a bartender in a local restaurant here. When she failed to return, her wife tracked her phone down to the park and came across the body of both Janness and the dog. Both were brutally stabbed multiple times to death. There's been a $10,000 reward offered for information leading to an arrest. But when you talk to neighbors here, they say they are stunned by the brutality of this attack.
Hits home really hard to me because we have two dogs. We actually live right here in this building about 50 feet away from where the murder occurred, and it's just astonishing something could happen like that so close to home, and how much can it really affect you emotionally.
Now let us backtrack a bit. Earlier in the evening, Katie had taken her partner's dog Bowie out for a walk like she usually did. It was right after dinner, so Emma expected her partner to be back with the dog in no time at all. But as the hours went by with neither Katie nor Bowie showing up, Emma sent Katie message after message trying to figure out where they were. Unfortunately, Katie did not respond to any of those messages, prompting Emma to track Katie's location through her phone. This is how Emma found the mutilated remains of her partner and dog at Piedmont Park. In her distress, she managed to alert the Atlanta police, narrating all that had just happened. And the police, alongside a few other agencies, immediately started combing through the park for evidence. They tried to get the community involved, releasing a photo of Katie walking Bowie along the city's Rainbow Crosswalk. They even offered a $10,000 reward for anyone who had information that could lead to an arrest. The police also shared photos of a jogger who they thought might have been a witness to the crime. They hoped that either someone would know who the man was and volunteer that information, or the man himself would come forward. Well, the latter happened, but that did not change much. The jogger cooperated with the police and shared what he knew, but nothing he said helped towards solving Katie's murder, and that is because he just did not witness the crime. Moving on from the one jogger, the police released surveillance video and photos that showed the people that were somewhere in the area at about the time that Katie was murdered. They asked that the people shown in the videos and photos come forward to share what they knew, making sure to stress that they were not suspects. But even that did not yield anything positive. As days went without any solid information, the investigative operation was expanded. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, and even the FBI got involved. This was a sign that officials were taking this crime seriously. Still, months after Katie's body was first discovered by her partner, investigators were no closer to finding out who did it and why. But for some reason, there were people who believed that they knew who committed the crime. It is because the partner is always the suspect, but some people did think that Emma did it. She even received death threats and had to buy a gun to defend herself. However, many others were quite sure that Emma did not do it, not necessarily because they knew her or had checked her alibi, but because something like this had happened at the very same park more than a decade ago. Now, there are some differences between both cases. For one, the other murder happened on the 28th of May 2009, and the victim, Patrick Boland, was a male. However, both victims just happened to be from the LGBTQ community. There is not as much information on Patrick's murder as there is on Katie's. But here is what we know. Patrick's house looked like he left home quickly to meet someone, but we cannot be certain. There have been several speculations, with some even saying that he was meeting up with someone for sex. But it really does not matter because we do not know for sure. We do know, though, that the park was not exactly deserted. When the investigators got to the scene of the crime, several people were in hiding because they were in the park past its closing time of 11 p.m. Still, none of them had any information on what happened to Patrick. Nobody heard any altercation or Patrick crying for help. Nothing. Further investigation did not turn up any useful information either. But the police did have one theory, that the killing might have been a hate crime. And they only started considering this theory after another gay man was stabbed a few days after Patrick was killed. Unfortunately, it has been more than a decade since that murder, and even though Patrick's family still hopes for answers, the mystery remains unsolved. In fact, people have been talking about it now because of Katie's case. Now, there is no way to know for sure whether there is a connection between these two murders, aside from the fact that they happened in the same place and both victims were members of the LGBTQ community. There are 12 years between both murders, so it is very unlikely that they were committed by the same person, but many still think that there is a significant possibility that they were committed for the same reason. You can tell us what you think in the comments section below, though. Now, back to Katie. About 4 months after Katie's sudden death, officials released her autopsy report, shedding a gruesome light on the murder. The report showed that Katie had been stabbed more than 50 times, about 15 of those going to her head. And the chief medical examiner on the case, Dr. Karen Sullivan, concluded that Katie must have died due to sharp force injuries of her face, neck, and torso that caused injuries of major blood vessels and internal organs. In addition to that, she had the letters F, A, and T carved on her chest, so it might have been a different kind of hate crime than we initially thought. Also, Katie was inflicted with several blunt force injuries. There is no denying the fact that her death was painful and gruesome. What is even sadder is that one of the investigators mentioned that evidence from the autopsy might suggest that there were high emotions involved in the crime, and Katie might have been familiar with her killer. Having said this, it might be one of the reasons why people started suspecting Emma, the partner, coupled with the fact that she found the body. But of course, it looks like the actual investigators immediately ruled out Emma as a suspect. The revelation of the details of Katie's autopsy sent the community into a bit of a frenzy. It made the whole situation seem even more real to people. Many were worried that there might be a serial killer on the loose, a very sinister one at that, leading people to live in constant fear of their lives. These worries seemed to be confirmed when, not too long after Katie was murdered, another young woman, Tori Long, was murdered at another park across town that same night. Even more specifically, people, probably thinking back to the murder of Patrick Boland, thought that this might have been a hate crime, that someone was targeting the LGBTQ community. However, the authorities were quick to mention that none of the evidence gathered points to a serial killer, nor a hate crime. But with the killer still on the loose, it's difficult to say for sure. 3 years after the unfortunate incident, The police claim to still be working on the case, even though nothing new has yet turned up. They've mentioned that they continue to check both biological data and cell phone data, believing that they are on the right track. So maybe this is just one of those cases that takes years to solve, but definitely gets solved. To be fair, from the information we've been given, the police have been trying different tacks. Aside from looking for evidence from Katie's body and autopsy, they also looked to Bowie's body for any valuable evidence. They hoped that Bowie, in trying to protect Katie, would have attacked the assailant, and so have some DNA evidence on him. However, we don't know whether or not this was successful because the police haven't shared any update on that. The community has also been doing its part to both honor Katie and Bowie, and also keep their memories alive. For one, just 2 days after Katie's passing, the community held a vigil for her, a vigil that was attended by about 100 people bringing flowers, candles, and cards. Then, almost a year after the murder, the park unveiled a bench in honor of Katie. The bench is located close to the spot where her body was found, and engraved on it are her years of life and Bowie's years of life too. Something else that the community has done in the wake of Katie's murder is installing security cameras inside the park. You'd have to agree that solving the case might have been that bit easier if there were security cameras inside the park itself, not just on the street. Interestingly, there were cameras in the park at the time of the murder, but they turned out to be useless because they were not working due to outdated technology. Now, you might wonder why the park authorities decided to leave in cameras that didn't work. Or did they just not know? Well, they did know, but they thought that the cameras, even though they didn't work, would serve as a deterrent for people with nefarious intent. Unfortunately, while that might have worked at other times, it didn't work this one time. Investigators did mention that they would try to determine if there was any information that they could extract from the cameras as they were, but they didn't release any updates on that to the public. So we have no idea if they were able to get anything useful from that or not. However, while it might look like the case is growing, or in the case of Patrick Boland has grown cold, both Patrick Boland and Katherine Janness's families continue to hold out hope that justice will find whoever took the lives of their loved ones. If you have any information on either the Katiejanness case or the Patrick Boland case, please contact the Atlanta homicide investigators or Crime Stoppers. If you liked this video, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel for more future content. Thanks for watching. True Crimes of the Dirty South.